My name is Kevin Chapman and I manage a mid-table Premier League side. Hello and welcome to part 143 of Backing the Boro. I'm Kevin. Coming up on today's episode, we have two Premier League games for you. We're away against Bournemouth and at home against Middlesbrough. Since you were last with me, things have gone pretty much as you would expect, I think. Just looking through our previous results. Obviously, when we've been away from home against good teams, we've conceded 5 goals because that's how we roll. So we lost 5-2 to Arsenal, 5-1 to Man City away. We also lost 2-0 to Man United at home. But realistically, at the start of the season, when we're plotting our course to 40 points, we expect all 3 of those games to be defeats. But what we also expect to do is pick up points where they matter. You saw us beat Blackburn in the first episode of this season, and we've also beaten Leicester 2-1. We've also seen the emergence of Kieran Kerr as a Premier League force. He's currently sat on 4 goals from 5 Premier League starts, plus 1 goal from 1 appearance in the Carabao Cup, which we are through to the 4th round of after 3-0 wins over both Reading and Crystal Palace. And we've been very comfortable and rotating the team a little bit in these games as well. A lot in this one, less so in the second one. And Oliveira looks very good when he's playing in the Carabao Cup as well. He's not had his league start yet, but I'm going to be less worried than I ordinarily would be if something happens to Vujicic this season, because I think Oliveira, I'm going to put it out there now, I think he might end up being the better of the 2 goalkeepers. He pulls off some remarkable saves and is currently on 2 clean sheets from 2 starts, albeit both in the Carabao Cup against rubbish teams. So all of that means early days in the Premier League, but we are officially a mid-table team at the moment. I would say 13th is mid-table, and we're level on points with Chelsea. That'll do. If we're level on points with Chelsea at the end of the season, that's a job well done. We are just ahead of the Kev ratio, 6 points from 5 games, sitting in 13th place. In the season now, we would be happy with that. But today we have 2 winnable games, and we have to keep the positivity flowing through the club. If we lose both of these, I won't say either of them, because losing away from home is never a disaster. But with the second one is at home. If we come out of today's episode with at least 3 points, we stay ahead of the Kev ratio, and we should stay comfortably in mid-table as well. So this is the team that we're putting out there. And we've got Vujicic in goal, a back 4 of Robinson, Brodic, Holmqvist and Carrascal, with Fazio, Uanda and Hayes in midfield, and McAllister in behind Jensen and Kerr. One thing we've got at the moment, which I don't think we had at any point of the last 2 seasons, I'm pretty sure I know what my regular first team starting 11 is. There's a couple of positions where I'm not quite decided who my best options are yet. I don't know whether Robinson or Joksimovic is our best left back. I don't know whether McAllister or Nuhu's our best attacking midfielder. And I don't know if Jensen or Naguera is our best complete forward. But other than that, everyone else is pretty much settled. Who wants Joksimovic? Barcelona. Oh dear. We might have to start preparing for life without him. Good job we signed Robinson on a 2-year loan in closed season, because I think when Barcelona come knocking, that's usually an indication that the player is going to leave if you're Nuneaton. What it does mean, though, is we could bring in a serious stack of cash. And we do have another Serbian youngster coming in January that we've already arranged, another one off the Red Star conveyor belt. He's only 17. He's a 5-star potential midfield player. I can't remember his name. I won't show you him now. I'll show you him when he arrives in January. But he's my probably, I was going to say long term, I don't even know if it's long term. He's my squad replacement for Moulin. There's interest in Moulin from French clubs. He's not really fulfilled his potential here at Nuneaton. He'll have been here 2 years in January. I think at that point, if someone wants to give us 4 or 5 million for Moulin, we'll replace him with another young Serbian in the squad, just to get them some game time. We've also sold Kraljevic for like 2 million quid. Which I don't think we'd done in the last episode either. So he was one of the Serbians who was a bit of a failure, a bit of a flop. Although really, he was a victim of squad registration, a victim of Brexit, and actually Uanda has now taken English nationality. So if Kraljevic had still been here 2 more weeks, we could have added him into the squad in January, because we now do have another gap for a foreign player, because Uanda now counts as homegrown. This is a nice finish from Kerr. Lovely football through our midfield. It finds its way across to Kerr, and that's his 5th goal of the season. I don't want to tempt fate just yet, but I think for the first time since we were down in the Championship with Sean Hull, we might actually have a goal scorer in our team, because Kieran Kerr is scoring goals so far this season. And if he can carry on scoring at the rate he's at the moment, he's going to end on 20, 25 goals this year, which would be magical. Kerr's in again, and goodness me, he's hit the post. I don't really know how he came out of that with the ball and not having fouled the Bournemouth defender, because it looked like he'd pushed him over. But in the end, he did come clear with the ball and probably should have done a little bit better than hitting it into the post. But Jensen plays it up towards McAllister, who stayed forward. I would have expected that to be Kerr, but apparently it's McAllister. Our attack is built around two Scottish players. All the stick I was giving Scottish football in the live stream transfer window that we did last week, and now I'm building my attacking team around Scottish players. Kerr is in again and forces another save out of the Bournemouth keeper. That's probably the best chance Kerr's had in the game so far. You probably would have expected him to score that one and missed the one he did score, but it falls to McAllister, who finds Wanda. Kerr's in space again. Kieran Kerr is everywhere. Brodic to Hayes, who's now in space. And did he hit the post as well? We are attacking at the moment. I'm a little bit worried that we've only scored one goal in this period of dominance, because sooner or later, Bournemouth will come back into this game, and we are still a little bit porous at the back. So we need a 2 or 3 goal advantage before they have their period of being in control of the game. But here's Robinson to Fazio. We've not seen much of Fazio yet today, but he finds Wanda to Hayes, who loses out in midfield. And here's your chance from Bournemouth break. And we need our centre-backs to be alert to this, because Robinson is way forward and Brodic has had to go across the cover, but Vujicic does collect. But that probably best chance of the game so far. I think the first clear-cut chance has probably fallen to Bournemouth there. That was a big chance. Vujicic did well. He needs to raise his game. He knows Oliveira's breathing down his neck for a starting position in this team. They're both officially 4-star current ability players. And I know, if you order our squad according to current ability, our 2 best players in the squad are both goalkeepers, Vujicic and Oliveira. If only I could send one back in time to the days where we spent 10 seasons unable to find a decent goalkeeper. And now we've got 2 at the same time. And presumably, I'll upset one or both of them. I can see a situation where I play Vujicic for a year to the point where Oliveira wants to leave because he's not getting first team football. Then Barcelona come in for Vujicic and he wants to leave to go to them. But Oliveira doesn't. And I'll end up losing them both next summer. I can just see that scenario happening. And if I hadn't spent £27 million on Vujicic, I'd be tempted to put Oliveira in the team now, just to stop that from happening. But I can't bring myself to drop the £27 million goalkeeper to bring in the one I brought in on a free transfer on a bit of a gamble. Although, I guess he does look more impressive when you bring him in for free. But I don't want Vujicic to go down in history as a flop. That was the sort of goal we typically concede. Vujicic makes a good save. We are mugging Bournemouth at the moment. They've got 2 clear-cut chances to our 0, although we have controlled. We've had more shots than them, roughly even possession, better passing. They're better at tackling, though. It's actually been a fairly even game after that first 20-25 minutes that we dominated. And this is exactly what I was talking about then when I was a little bit worried, because we did dominate early on. We've only got a 1-goal advantage, and now we're going into the final 10 minutes, and it's a little bit nervy. I'm going to bring on Nogueira for Jensen just to add a little bit more spark up front. The jury is still out on Jensen. He got a hat-trick in the Carabao Cup and the media seem to love him, but he doesn't seem to be a goal threat at all. But I do wonder if it's his link-up play that's maybe happening outside of key highlights, but it could be his link-up play that's making Kerr play so well. So I'm loath to drop him when we're winning games, and we've just won another game. And an away game at that. We don't win away games. Our 3rd victory of the season puts us up to 9 points and the giddy heights of the top half of the Premier League. I know it's because we played Friday night. We'll level out to around 12th again after the Saturday games are played. But now we take another leap forward in time to play at home against Middlesbrough and hopefully pick up a 3rd consecutive Premier League win, which would be smashing. No changes for the Middlesbrough game then, because you don't change a winning team unless you have to. I think that's just sensible football management. The only change I would have considered was bringing in Joksimovic again at left back. But I am a little bit worried. His head is being turned. The media flirtation from Barcelona has begun. There's been about 3 media reports in the week since we played that last game, going back and forth, discussing whether or not he's going to go to Barcelona. I've been asked by the media. I've said he's not for sale. His current value is only £800,000, but he does have a £49 million Champions League club release clause. So I'm certainly thinking we get a lot closer to 49 million than 800,000. I have no idea where to set an asking price. It's all hypothetical at the moment, because unless they come in for an offer and or he asks to leave, then it's just one of those things. It's Barcelona tracking a wonder kid, which is, I guess, what you would come to expect. What I don't want, the absolute disaster scenario, is just as we're finally starting to sort out the dressing room atmosphere, the dynamics. We have no red on that page at the moment. What we don't need is Barcelona to come in with a £2 million offer for Joksimovic that I obviously turned down because he's worth more than £2 million. He then gets grumpy and it throws off the whole squad. So I have to be very, very careful how I play this. And part of me thinks if we keep winning because the squad is now gelled, it would almost be worth letting him go on the cheap just to avoid an argument. But I don't want to do that. I obviously want to maximise my investment, because we're running at quite a big transfer spending loss over the last few seasons, and for a club the size of Nuneaton, playing in front of 16,000 people, that's not really something we can do long term. We need to start bringing some money back in again from these transfers. We're 2-0 down after 20 minutes, by the way, which isn't part of the script. I know I said at the start of the episode we were looking for 3 points from these 2 games, but I think what I meant to say was I'm looking to beat Middlesbrough at home. Anything we get in the other game is a bonus, because we don't want to be losing our home games. I know we've already lost against Manchester United at home, but that's okay, because that's losing against Manchester United. Are we watching this highlight a second time? I didn't want to see it the first time, but we're trying to turn the Tom Elliott Arena into a fortress, which you can just about get away with it being a fortress if you're losing to Man United and nobody else. But if you start losing to Middlesbrough at home, you got to start thinking, I mean, it's not even really an igloo, is it, in those circumstances? Although, looking at the league table, Middlesbrough are currently sat up in a Champions League qualification spot. But, context, it's game 7 of the season. So, they're obviously not going to be there come season end. But, it wouldn't... I mean, if you'd have offered me, before the season started, 9 points from the first 7 games, I take it. But I just don't want to lose at home to a rubbish team. I only want to lose at home to big teams. But I guess we have the away win to balance it out. We're still at the second half to try and come back into the game as well. It's only 2-0. We have goals in us. We can come back from 2-0. We've done it before. We've done it many times before. So as long as we don't let them score again 3-0 before half time, and then we've got to be thinking, yeah, this is probably done at this point. And luckily they can hear me and they've decided to do a big miss. And now we can collect ourselves at half-time. Or can we grab a goal just before half-time? That would be delightful if we could do that. But it's actually Middlesbrough on the break again. And luckily Brodic is across to cover. Back to Vujicic. And that should be the half-time whistle. There's still 30 seconds to go. If we want to have a little attack before half-time, no one's going to object. But it's back with those pesky red shirts again. And they just... I mean... I'm not the referee. I don't know if I've made that clear in any of the previous videos, but I think someone should be counting how many players each team have got, because it just feels like they've got a lot more players than we have, and that's making it hard for us to get the ball. So if anyone wants to pause the video and just check that we're not being swindled here, because I can't think of any other reason why we wouldn't be able to get hold of the ball. Unless maybe the 4-2-3-1's just difficult to defend against. Who knows? But you'd think that our 4 central midfielders would be able to compete with their 3. And wingers are pointless, we all know that. Kerr squares it to Fazio, who really should have scored. I do not understand how you missed that, Fazio. That was poor. It was excellent from Kerr, but just pathetic from Fazio. Fazio won Best Player and Best Goal at the Under-21 Euros in the summer. I can't imagine he did that at any point during the tournament if he's winning awards. That was just awful. I feel like that was our route back into the game as well. Grab a goal back in the 47th minute and you've got momentum with you then. Have a miss like that and it just sucks the life out of you. Vujicic plays the ball forward towards Jensen, who can't get hold of it, and it's back with Middlesbrough again because they're cheating and they've got extra shirts. I might have to take Robinson off. He's on a yellow card and a lot of their attacks seem to be coming down this right-hand side. We've got Mr. Wonder Kid Joksimovic sat there on the bench, and it might be the time to bring him on. Although, really, if yellow cards are an issue, we know they're an issue for Joksimovic. Kerr squares it again, this time to Jensen, and this time we do grab the goal. Kieran Kerr, massively involved again. He did brilliantly. Turns it back to Jensen, who tucks it away. I think that's his first Premier League goal for us. although he did get those goals in the Carabao Cup as well. It's a big ball over the top from Holmqvist. Kerr does brilliantly to bring it down, and for the second time in the game, he's just set it up on a plate for one of his teammates. This time, thankfully, it's one who knows how to score goals. Right, I'm going to make that change at left back, just because I'm afraid. If Joksimovic gets sent off now, I am never doing an early substitution in ever again. We will be 2 on the 70th minute, 1 on the 80th minute. We know that's the right way to do substitutions. Right. McAllister has not turned up today. We've got both Nuhu and Wagner on the bench. So we have plenty of options for when attacking midfielders don't play well. Kerr, I was a little bit worried that it took a little bit too long to get up there. If he gets an injury, we have a problem. Vujicic makes a good save. We've got 20 minutes to try and drag ourselves back into this game. A draw, in the circumstances, would be a great result. I'd rather not lose. Fortress Sir Tom Elliott Arena, after all. Who have we got on the bench who could come on and grab that equaliser? Who's a game changer? We've got Wagner, but I mean, who do I bring him on for? Where do I bring him on in the midfield 3? I could potentially bring him on in the midfield 3. Or we have got Nogueira or Lazic, I think, on the bench as attacking options. None of it matters now because we've conceded the third and we're not coming back from this. I don't think I've said flirt too many times this episode, but we flirted with getting back. I don't want to see your stupid replay. We flirted with getting back into the game for the first 20 minutes of the second half, but similar to what happened against Bournemouth, we had a period of dominance and didn't really capitalise on it. I will bring Wagner on for Fazio, which is probably a change I should have made the moment he had that miss. Let's see if Wagner, combining Wagner and Nuhu in that midfield, let's see if they've got any oomph to go and grab us 2 goals in the last 7 minutes of this game. It falls to Jensen, who plays it up towards Nuhu. Nuhu's got a little bit of time to find Wagner, who's got Kerr, who plays it across to Nuhu. We're keeping the ball beautifully here. It's Jensen who scores. That was a thing of beauty. What a goal there. And Jensen has got his second goal of the game. He's got 5 goals for us this season now. I think this is his highest ever season total for goals in a season in England ever. That was a long sentence, but we've got 7 minutes and it's back on, boys and girls. Have we got an equaliser tucked away somewhere in this team? And it did come through both Wagner and Nuhu, so Kev's a genius. Right, here we go. Here's the chance. And it's Jensen again. And it's straight at one of those extra red shirts that we all know they've got. Look, count them there. There's at least 15 of them. They've put a rugby team out. A bunch of cheats. But I think that was probably our final chance. And there goes the final whistle. We put up a good fight. It wasn't like some of those toothless home defeats we've had over the last couple of years. And on another day, we get a draw or maybe even a win out of that. And I'm not at all disappointed to be on 9 points after 7 games. But if we're at the end, if we're still flirting, word of the day, with relegation at the end of the season, we'll come back and look at games like that and think, well, there's where we should have picked up some extra points. But I can handle 13th place at the moment. 13th place is good. If you've enjoyed that, please make sure you leave a nice big thumbs up on there for me. Subscribe to the channel for daily Football Manager videos. And thank you very much for watching.